Our reading today is a quote from Representative Sara McBride in the article by David Remnick in The New Yorker entitled, "Sara McBride Wasn't Looking for a Fight on Trans Rights." She said, "I think there is a space for diversity of messengers and a diversity of message. Many people authentically evolved. What we do know is that as the movement for marriage equality moved forward, the most effective messengers for marriage were not same-sex couples, were not parents of same-sex couples or kids of same-sex couples. The most effective messengers for marriage equality were those who evolved. And they were effective because they gave a permission structure to people who had not yet gotten there, that it was okay to be uncomfortable. It was okay to be on the other side of the issue. You weren't a bad person, you weren't wrong. My motto has always been, I'll extend grace as long as people demonstrate growth. But that is a two-way street. And I think that we are shooting ourselves in the foot as people who believe in progress when we create no incentive for people to grow because they perceive that they will be permanently guilty for having been wrong. We create no space for them to grow by extending no grace for them to actually walk there. I think one of the reasons why you see people pushed into their respective corners is because you say something that's deemed problematic and you are immediately hounded by one side and immediately embraced by the other side. Human nature is to, when you are faced with that degree of extreme binary reactions, go to the people who are validating you instantaneously, right? Somebody saying, you're wrong, and someone saying, we love you, come here. Which side are you gonna go to? That was me, sorry. We unintentionally actually push people further and further into their own corners and into their negative opinion by responding with a degree of condemnation and vitriol that creates no incentive and space for them to grow. When I came out to my parents in 1988, they did not take it particularly well. They said some things that I am sure they regret. And you know what? That was my fault. It was 1988. They knew gay people existed, but they didn't think they knew any. It was before Ellen, before Rosie O'Donnell. The only people they knew who they assumed were gay were people who completely did not fit into the gendered binary at all. The butch dyke they saw on the escalator, that was literally my mother's example. The male customer who wore dresses at home. They were afraid for me, for what this would mean for my life. I was pretty self-righteous about it for a while. But what should I have expected? They didn't know, and I didn't know how to do it better, and so made it so they had to have their very first reaction in front of me. If I had to do it over again, I'd have written them a letter and let them process it for a little while first, so they didn't hurt me with their first reactions, and I didn't hurt them by remembering their first reactions for the next 40 years. They got so much better and pretty damn fast. They loved me, and they didn't have religious ideas that got in the way. They just didn't know. We went to therapy together for 3 sessions, and by the 3rd, we were all okay. Years later, when I had kids, lots of people asked if my parents accepted my family. And my response was always, absolutely. My parents know that they could be stinky, or they could have grandchildren, And my parents are not stupid people. We live in a time when we are more divided by politics than it seems we have ever been. And yet the article by Representative Sara McBride, the first and to date only transgender representative in the US Congress, reminds us that every single previous generation of Americans has been called to conquer odds much greater than the ones we're facing right now. To be fair, this article was written a little over a year ago. They had every reason to believe that change would not come. They could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. Enslaved people in the 1850s had no reason to believe an Emancipation Proclamation was on the way. Unemployed workers during the early days of the Great Depression had never heard of a New Deal. Patrons at the Stonewall Inn never knew of a country where they could live openly and authentically as themselves. And yet they persevered. They summoned their hope, they found that light, and ultimately they changed the world. It is hard to believe that we can still have hope. In the last week, Kansas has canceled the driver's licenses of over 1,000 Kansans who dared to change their gender markers. They sent the letters out 2 days before their licenses will be invalid. It is now illegal for transgender Kansans to drive until they go and change their licenses. The bill also includes a penalty for using a bathroom incongruent with your assigned sex at birth, which is going to create way more problems than it will solve. Have you seen trans men who have medically transitioned? You really want men with full beards and receding hairlines using the ladies' room? You have got to be kidding me. The grossest part of this bill is that if you think you know someone is using the restroom that doesn't match their sex assigned at birth, you can sue them for $1,000. We do not need to be the pee police, people. Let people pee in peace. This bill also doesn't provide exceptions for people who have surgically transitioned either. And so a trans woman who now has female genitalia, and no, I didn't think I'd be talking about genitalia from the pulpit today either, theoretically has to use the men's room? That's not safe at all. And the people in this country who are the most at risk right now are immigrants. And I won't even say undocumented immigrants at this point, because lots of folks in this country legally and are still being swept up in ICE raids. People with green cards are being arrested at their check-in appointments where they've been going for years. And the really hard part is that this feels like the biggest place that we need to have grace for people to change their minds, because this is the place that people are changing their minds. Donald Trump ran his campaign, or perhaps was most successful in his campaign, on the issues of immigration and affordability. Now, I know that I think of immigration as a good thing. It is my personal belief that the United States and its corporate interests played a major role in the way that subsistence farmers lost their land in Central America because corporations like Dole came in and drove out small family farms to put in plantations. And when the people of Central America democratically elected leaders who would push back against those policies, who would fight for their people to be able to earn a living, the United States toppled governments. In the 1980s, I drove an Oldsmobile Starfire with a bumper sticker that said, "Your taxes pay for torture, rape, and murder in Central America." My dad hated those bumper stickers. I believe that our nation is directly responsible for the demand for drugs that fuels the cartels. Our nation is directly responsible for the guns that are now in the hands of the cartels, for the lack of jobs that will support a family, for the situations on the ground that mean for many people heading north is the only solution that they can see. But I understand that a lot of people don't see it that way. They think, at worst, that the lies about criminal immigrants are true, and at best, that everyone should follow the rules, should apply and wait to be approved before entering. They don't realize that citizenship generally takes years and years and years, even after you are here with documentation. Donald Trump spent a lot of ad dollars and a lot of political capital making people afraid of and angry with immigrants, especially those from Central America. And it worked. Many of the people who voted for him wanted him to do something about what they saw as illegal immigration. And they bought the lies that America is spending massive amounts of money supported undocumented immigrants with entitlement programs. In reality, the vast majority of immigrants are working and paying taxes that they will never benefit from. Immigrants contribute far more to the economy than they take from it in programs. But here's the thing. They wanted the criminal element that they were convinced was here gone. They didn't want their neighbor in Montana, who's run the local garage and fixed the school buses, deported. He's been here 20 years, raised a family, been an upstanding member of the community, gone to church. We didn't think you were talking about him. Him is Roberto Orozco Ramirez from Freud, Montana. He runs the mechanic shop that bears his name in a very small town. That shop means that people don't have to drive over an hour to get their cars fixed. Everyone knows Roberto. According to an article by Nora Mabey in the Montana Free Press, everyone liked Roberto and his family. He and his wife have 4 kids. His sons all played school sports in a town that has 81 kids from kindergarten through high school. He coached Little League baseball. And the town still remembers when he stayed up all night fixing a broken heater on the school bus so the kids could get to school safely in the morning. His crime was returning to this country after he was deported in 2009. He has no other criminal record in this country at all. Roberto is so beloved in his town that 14 people, including 3 of his sons, drove 400 miles each way to attend his 8-minute hearing in Great Falls. They wanted him and they wanted the court to know that people supported him. Almost everyone in Freud, Montana voted for Trump. Many of them hoped he would help the economic situation. Many of them wanted immigrants who were here illegally and committed violent crimes to be deported. They thought you meant sending home criminals, the rapists and murderers that they were told were here. Not 5-year-olds in bunny hats. Not parents dropping off school children. Not people going in for their yearly green card appointments. Not spouses renewing their paperwork the way they're supposed to. Not people driving to work and having their windows broken and being pulled out of their cars. Not their neighbor who coached Little League and fixed their cars. And they sure as hell didn't sign up for ICU nurses being shot in the back in the middle of the streets and moms being shot through their car windows. I don't like that they voted for that man in the first place. I wish they had been able to see through his lies. But if we don't give them a safe place to change their mind, to grow on this issue and others, then friends, we've lost the war. I truly believe that one of our greatest flaws as Unitarian Universalists is that we can be a hard place to break into. If you don't know the most up-to-date language, if your life experience or your income level or education doesn't fit, it can be hard, and that's on us. As a denomination, we need to be more genuinely welcoming. Now, we need to extend more grace to those who once drank the Kool-Aid and are now waking up to the reality of what's going on. And I know that's hard. It is not easy to extend grace, especially when it's our actual lives we're talking about. Oh, yeah, I'm so glad you're now actually seeing that I am a valid human being now. When we just want to scream, what took you so long? However, as morally righteous as this might be, frankly, it isn't helpful. Trump won the election in 2024, not by the majority he thinks he did, but the fact remains, because we are a people for whom facts matter, more people who voted for him. And if we don't welcome them gently when they realized that what they thought they were voting for is not, in fact, what they got, we are not going to win the next election. We don't have to believe he's a good guy. We don't have to believe that his policies make sense or were right in theory and just weren't exercised well. But we do have to understand that a lot of people who are struggling economically, who felt pushed aside by the cultural elites, who were scared of their way of life being pushed away, voted for someone who they thought got them. And if we don't welcome them when they change their minds, we're lost. Representative McBride says, I think all of us need to do a better job of seeing the humanity on the other side of the aisle. Because I think what happens in this country right now is the left says to the right, what do you know about pain, white straight man? My pain is real as an LGBTQ person. And the right says to the left, what do you know about pain, college-educated cosmopolitan elite? My pain is real in a post-industrial community ravaged by the opioid crisis. The worst thing that you can say to someone who is upset is, it's not as bad as you think. We all need our pain seen and validated. McBride continues, all of us have to do a better job of recognizing that people don't have to be right in our mind for what they're facing to be wrong. And people don't have to be right in our minds for us to try to right that wrong. My friends, we are all more than our worst opinions and our worst actions. We need to keep talking to one another. Because if your family that you've rejected because they're all Trumpers wants to change their mind because they've grown, because this isn't what they thought they were signing up for, they need you to be there acknowledging their growth, not saying, what took you so long? In the words of Reverend Julian Soto, all of us need all of us to make it. We need the immigrants who are being sent to massive detention centers. We need the queer and trans people in Kansas. And we need the Trump voters in Montana who love their neighbors too. We need the parents who can change their mind. And we need the singers standing outside the ICE building, singing to the ICE agents inside. It's okay to change your mind, show us your courage, leave this behind. It's okay to change your mind, then you can join us here anytime. Let's sing it. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. Show us your courage, show us your courage. Leave this behind. It's okay to change your mind. Then you can join us here anytime. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.